Hey everybody, welcome into the Delmarva Sports Insider, your #1 live and local show dedicated to giving you all local sports. I'm Sports Director Brandon Bosser.
What is up? It is yours truly, sports anchor Devin J. Martin. Welcome into the show. As always, we've got a lot to talk about tonight, Brandon.
We sure do. A lot of football going on tonight. Some really good games out there. A little chilly out there.
Absolutely.
But you know what? We saw some great games, especially with our game of the night up there in Centerville.
Absolutely. And I think that some of the best teams from both conferences are starting to kind of separate themselves and kind of proving by matching up against each other who's really, the cream of the crop. And I'm glad we see some of those different highlights.
Yeah, I would hope so. We've got 2 more weeks until playoffs begin in Maryland. I can't believe it.
Wow.
But hey, let's talk about what we've got coming up. Stick around because we saw a great Bayside North showdown between Kent Island and North Carolina. Could the Bucks keep rolling at the Ridge? We'll find out in a few minutes, but first we have our game of the night up north. Queen Anne's coming off of their first loss of the season.
Wow, and things don't get any easier. They're welcoming in the Decatur Seahawks. The 5-1 Lions were facing and hosting the 5-1 Decatur Seahawks. This game could go either way. 2 evenly matched teams from the Bayside. The Seahawks will get things going early. Nathan Tapley is going to run it up the gun for himself for 6 points, and Decatur goes up a touchdown, but the Lions wouldn't be too far behind. Very next possession for Queen Anne's, and the handoff is to the big man himself, KJ Smothers. He breaks free. He's in for 6, and we're all tied up at 7 apiece. Queen Anne's will keep their foot on the gas. Ashton Seawall getting the rock, and he moves through traffic, and he's going to dive in for the score. Queen Anne's is up 2 scores on the Seahawks.
Now the Seahawks keep fighting. Bryson Coleman in the pocket going to look for Tribe Wise. You're going to hear him a lot in the basketball court. Can also do it on the football field. Decatur back in this one. But Queen Anne's run game, just too much to handle, and it's not just Decatur. A lot of teams are having that problem this year. Smothers doing it on the ground as Ashton Seawald going to blow by the Decatur defense for the touchdown. And the Seahawks fought hard and played a great game, but Queen Anne's would come out on top and get back in that win column. They've done that a lot this year with a 46-28 win over Decatur. We spoke with head coach Al Waters and, of course, that man, KJ Smothers, and asked them about what it was like to be able to get back in that win column after that loss to Easton last week.
Decatur's a great team, and for us to come out here and put that many points on them, that was huge. Offensive line did one heck of a job.
We work hard in practice every week, so last week we didn't want that feeling against it, none of the goalposts, you know what I mean? Everybody sad, that bad mood, but this week we came back, we did what we had to do.
All right, they were in a bad mood is what he said.
Oh, man, they had to take it out on the other team.
Yeah, great job by Queen Anne's to bounce back tonight after that loss to Easton last week. The Lions getting contributions from pretty much everybody this week. It's not just KJ, this offense, a lot of guys involved in this thing. And Queen Anne's is now 6-1. And looking ahead, that sets up Y-High and Queen Anne's coming up on Thursday night. Can't wait to see that
Queen Anne's is really in the middle of one of their toughest parts of the entire schedule. I mean, last week it was Easton, this week it was Decatur, and now they're facing Y-High. I mean, just the cream of the crop, the top teams of both sides of the Bayside Conference all going at it, so we can really tell who's really #1. And for Queen Anne's today, obviously, it was a really well-balanced attack. They didn't just have to rely on KJ's running ability. He didn't have to have like 4 or 5 touchdowns on the ground like he's had in other weeks. And beyond, the Lions, they're going to have to show that they're going to have to, have that ability to be well-rounded if they want to just not only just win the Bayside, but go further in the state playoffs as well. And I think they did that today in their win over the Seahawks. I mean, winning by 18 points. I didn't think anyone was really going to predict that. I mean, I thought Queen Anne's was going to win just because of the home field advantage that they had, but I thought it would be a lot closer. But that offense, Queen Anne's offense, it might be, top 2 in the entire conference.
And one more thing, this really shows us that the Bayside North, after 7 games in the season, very bunched up at the top. You've got Easton at 3-0 in the Bayside North. You've got Queen Anne's at 3-1 in the Bayside North, and then you've got Kent Island's 3-1 in the Bayside North. Queen Anne's is 2-1, so it's still up for grabs right now.
Right. There isn't a clear-cut team. I know we talked about a couple weeks ago. We thought Y-High clear head and shoulders, but like everyone's kind of caught up in that way, and it's really impossible to really tell who definitely is that #1 team. I think that you're not wrong with any of those answers. If you want to say, I think it's Kent Island. If you think it's Queen Anne's, if you think it's Easton, there's really no wrong answer because all three of those teams and also Why-High and Decatur have been playing such great football on the field for both the Bayside North and the Bayside South.
Well, we can say one thing. Easton's beaten both Kent Island and Queen Anne so far this season, and that's very impressive by then. Let's stay in the Bayside North now and go to another contender. That's the Kent Island Bucks, like we just mentioned. They were on the road facing North Caroline. From the opening snap, the Bucks showed that they are just on a different level this year. Nasai Bell under pressure, trying to pick up some yards, going to scramble through the pocket, but he's going to be brought down. And then on third down, the Bucks swallow up that Bulldog offense. They force a punt.
And then they're back on offense. Tommy McAndrews drops back and has a man open. That's Claxton Tucker making the catch, getting pushed out of bounds. That puts him in the red zone. And then the workhorse Casey Heath doing what he does best, powering it into the goal line, getting the call from a few yards out. He shifts his way into the end zone. They go up 21-7 at halftime, and they end up winning that game big over North Carolina. And now moving on, the Colonels only a game back of the Bayside North's Big 3 regular season record. They played host to Nandua. Now Nazir Blake from Nandua gets the ball and breaks a few tackles, and he's going to go before he finally gets brought down by the defense. The Warriors making a good drive downfield. They end up on the goal line. Isaac Stodegill calls his own number, and he's running it, and he stretches out to break the play. And after some deliberation, the refs signal a touchdown. Nandua put some points on the board thanks to that QB scramble. The Colonels, though, had a very healthy first-half lead regardless. Cameron Gondak had a clear, wide-open run to the end zone, and he goes in untouched as he scores easily. Colonels led by 20-7 at half. They ended up winning 27-12.
All right, how about Kent County traveling to Snow Hill to take on those Eagles as the Trojans looking for their first win on the season. Controversial call right here. The back's going to get the pitch. He's going to dive for the goal line. Does he lose the ball prior to crossing? Kent thinks so, but the official says he's in, and that's what matters. Snow Hill with the 8-7 lead early, but this one belonged to Kent County. So congratulations to the Trojans who made the long trek down south and win 49-26 against Snow Hill. Their first win of the year. They are now 1-6.
Now to a game from last night, Why-High and Parkside. Darius Foreman calling his own number, and he goes to the hole for the corner and goes in standing. Foreman lethal on the ground and through the air. Why-High back in front, but Parkside is going to answer right back. The pitch to Nazir Holden. Watch the blocking in front by Bryant Waters, clearing a path, and Holden crosses the goal line. Parkside putting the Tribe on upset alert early on, but Why-High found another gear before halftime. Foreman once again keeps it, finds a path, and he's in once again. The Tribe faithful loving it, and they keep the foot on the gas, and here's the top play nominee. Foreman rolls right, as you're going to see, and he's going to fire the ball downfield. And look at that look, and look at that hang time right there. Perfect spiral. The ball is tipped, but it's into the arms of Malik Leatherbury.
What a great play.
Absolutely. Why-High moves to 5-2 on the year.
Now to the other games on the evening. Easton with a 49-13 win over Bennett. Kevin O'Connor with 4 touchdown passes and over 200 yards in the air. He added another one on the ground. And Washington forfeits their game with Cambridge South Dorchester. The Vikings' next game will be against Colonel Richardson next Friday for homecoming. So, I think this has been a very fun season for the Bayside Conference. We have 5 clear-cut top 5 teams in this conference so far this year.
Yep.
Why-High, Decatur, Queen Anne's, Kent Island, and Easton. And we've seen that any of these teams can beat up on all the other ones any given week.
Yep.
But the team that I've been most impressed with so far this season in terms of their maturation process has been Kent Island, especially with how they responded to that Week 1 loss against Easton. They got manhandled against Easton in Week 1, which we did not expect.
In 3 quarters, too. I mean, that game was over by the 4th quarter. It was a demolition.
And the thing about Kent Island is we're starting to see Tommy McAndrews being able to stretch the ball or stretch the field with his arm. And we already know about Casey Heath in the backfield and the difference maker that he is, the senior leader for the Bucks. So we're starting to see that physicality. And I was there during training camp back in August, and they were doing hard physical practices every single day to try and get ready.
Yep.
And those weren't because they wanted to be ready on Week 1. That's because they wanted to be ready for the 4th quarter come playoff time. And we're seeing it now. They are getting to their best point. They're reaching their peak
Right.
as we get closer to the playoffs.
Which is a fantastic time to peak instead of peaking early on in the year. And obviously, we're talking about Kent Island. They've been very consistent, as you mentioned, since their week 1 loss. But another team that we talked about a lot, I mean, Easton, the Warriors, we've mentioned this every single week. Last year, 3-6, and then they changed their entire program around. Coach Griffith takes over at the helm, and he breaks them down, builds them back up, and they're looking dominant.
They keep on rolling.
They keep on rolling. I mean, they probably have the most impressive, just I guess, plethora of wins on their resume. I mean, we already know everyone knows about how well the Tribe have been playing. Kent Island and then Queen Anne's and Decatur are the rest of the cream of the crop. And I think Decatur is really good, but I just think Queen Anne's is just the team for me that I just see they're just really at the top. If I had to only choose one, but again, 2 teams are in the Bayside South, and that's Y-High and Decatur. I think Y-High has the higher ceiling, but that Bayside North trio of Easton, Queen Anne's, and Kent Island is a top-up. They've all beaten each other, beaten up on each other. If I had to choose one, I still think it's Queen Anne's just by a hair, but they're all so close to each other, it's really hard to really tell right now.
I really want to see Queen Anne's versus Kent Island. I know that, we've got Queen Anne's and Y-High coming up, but Queen Anne's and Kent Island, that's going to be a really fun matchup because I want to see KJ Smothers and that offense go up against that defense for the Kent Island Bucks.
Right, and I like how the schedule is starting to unfold right now because we have a lot of great, awesome matchups. As you mentioned, that matchup in terms of between Y-High and Kent Island, but also Y-High and is it Y-High and Kent Island? Yes, and then also Queen Anne's in Decatur and Easton as well. That's going to be a really great matchup, and I guess I want to see if Easton can notch another W from that top 5 list on their schedule.
All right, we'll see what happens next week. That'll do it for the A block. We're calling our first time out, but we've got a great Henlopen North duel, Dover and Central. Don't go anywhere. You're watching DSI.
North Carolina High School, and you're watching Delmarva Sports Insider.